Welcome. In this video, we will explain how to fill out the complaint for absolute divorce. This is the form that you will give to the court and the other party in order to start your divorce case. Before watching this video, we recommend that you watch the second video called, "Can I File for Divorce in DC?" to find out if you can in fact file for a divorce in DC. You can download a copy of the form by clicking the link in the video description, or you can go to the courthouse in person to get a copy of the form. In a divorce case in DC, you can ask the court to resolve several issues, such as dividing your marital property and debt, determining child custody, child support, and/or alimony, and a name change for the spouse that changed their name through marriage. Now that you have the right form, let's walk through how to fill it out step by step. On the top left of page 1, write your full name on the first line. You are the plaintiff because you are starting the case. Then, write your home address on the lines below. You can use another address if you are afraid that you will be harassed or harmed if your address is known. If you put a different address, check the box for substitute address. Below the plaintiff section, under V, write your spouse's name. The person a case is filed against is called the defendant. Then, write your spouse's address on the lines below. If you don't know your spouse's address, write their last known address. You must include an address to the best of your knowledge. Leave the spaces next to the words DRB and Judge blank. The court clerk will fill that in for you when you file the case. Under the title of the form, you can check yes if you want your spouse to pay you child support. If you don't want to ask for child support at this time, you can check no. Write your name in the space below that says Print your name. Question 1 is where you tell the court that DC is the right place to hear your case. It says, "The court is the proper place to decide my request for divorce and related issues because," and then asks you to check all the options that apply. If you have been living in DC for at least 6 months before you file for divorce, you can check the first box. If your spouse has been living in DC for at least 6 months before you file for divorce, you can check the second box. Remember, only you or your spouse has to be living in DC to be able to file for divorce. Now, move on to question 2 on the second page of the form. Here you will tell the court how you and your spouse got married. You can mark either married by ceremony or common law, and then the date you were married, and the city and state where you were married. Next, move to number 3, which simply tells the court you and your spouse no longer wish to remain married. During a marriage, one or both spouses may have changed their name. Question 4 asks about name changes. If you did not change your name when you got married, you can check the first option. If you changed your name when you got married and you want to keep it, you can check the second option. If you changed your name when you got married and want to change it back to your former name, you can check the last option and write out your former name. You cannot change your name for any illegal or fraudulent reason. Question 5 asks about marital property and marital debt. Marital property is everything you and your spouse got or bought during the marriage. For example, furniture, cars, a house, bank accounts, and retirement savings. If you got it during the marriage, it's marital property regardless of who paid for it or whose name is on the title. There are some exceptions. Anything you got as a gift or inherited is usually your sole property and not marital property. You can ask the court to divide marital property and decide who gets to keep what after the divorce. If you and your spouse do not have any marital property, you can check the first option under question 5 and move on to question 6. If you and your spouse have marital property, you will need to figure out how to divide it. First, if you have an agreement about who gets what and do not need the court's help to divide it, you can check the second option. If you and your spouse have an agreement about who gets what and want the court to include it in a court order, check the third box. If you need the court's help to divide the marital property, then you can check the fourth option. If you choose the fourth option, you'll have to fill out a marital property form called Attachment A. You can get a copy of the form in our next video. Include Attachment A when you file the complaint for divorce. If you are unsure whether you and your spouse have marital property, you can check the fifth option to be safe. You might want to talk to a lawyer about this. Question 6 is like question 5 but deals with marital debt. Much like marital property, marital debt is all the money, loans, mortgages, and etc. that you and your spouse have borrowed during your marriage and still owe. Some examples are credit card debt, student loans, car loans, and home loans. It doesn't matter which spouse borrowed the money. If it was borrowed while you were married, it's marital debt. You can ask the court to divide your marital debt and decide who has to pay it back. If you and your spouse have no marital debt, you can check the first option. If you have marital debt, you have three options. If you and your spouse agree about how to divide up your marital debt and do not want the court to do it for you, you can check the second option. If you have an agreement about your marital debt that you want to put in a court order, you can check the third option. If you and your spouse do not agree about how to divide it and need the court's help to do it, you can check the fourth option. If you check the fourth option, you will have to fill out the marital property and debt form called Attachment A. Again, include Attachment A when you file the complaint for divorce with the court. If you are unsure if you and your spouse have marital debt, you can check the fifth option. You also might want to talk to a lawyer about this. Question 7 deals with alimony, also called spousal support. Alimony is financial support that one spouse pays to the other after separating. Temporary alimony is paid for a certain period of time after the divorce, for example, 1 year, and permanent alimony is for the duration of your life or until you remarry. This support allows the spouse getting alimony to get the education or training needed to support themselves. If you want to ask for alimony, you can check the first option. If you need financial support before the divorce is final, you can also ask that your spouse pay alimony while the divorce case is pending. This support allows the spouse getting alimony to continue living at the same or similar level the parties lived at before the separation. You must file a separate form called a motion for temporary alimony to ask for financial support while the case is going on. You can get a copy of this form by clicking on the link in the video description. If you do not want to ask for alimony, you can select the third option under question 7 and move to the next question. If you and your spouse have children together, these next two sections are very important. Question 8 deals with child custody. You can ask the court to decide who your child will live with and who will make decisions about their lives. If you and your spouse do not have children together who are under the age of 18 either through birth or adoption, you can select the first option. If you have children together under the age of 18, you have three options. If you don't want the court to decide custody at this time, you can check the second option. You can ask for custody later at any time in the child's life until they are 18. If you and your spouse have a written agreement about custody and don't want the court to decide custody, you can select the third option. If you and your spouse don't agree and you need the court's help to decide custody, you can check the fourth option. If you check the fourth option, you will have to fill out the custody form called Attachment B. You can get a copy of this form in video 5 and linked in the video description. You will include Attachment B when you file the complaint for divorce with the court. The next section deals with child support. Please go to question 9. Each parent has a duty to financially support their children. You can ask the court to decide which parent has to pay child support to the other parent and how much they should pay. If you and your spouse do not have any children together through birth or adoption, or if your children are over 21 years old and not disabled, you can check the first box. If you have children together who are under 21 years old or who are adult disabled children, you have 3 options. First, if you do not want the court to decide child support at this time, you can check the second option. You can ask for child support later at any time before a child turns 21. If you have children together who are under 21 years old or who are disabled adult children, and you have a written agreement about child support, you can check the third option. The agreement has to follow DC child support guidelines and be fair and just. If you don't agree about child support, you can check the fourth option. If you choose the fourth option, you'll have to fill out the child support form called Attachment C. You can get a copy of the attachment in Video 6 and linked in the video description. You will include Attachment C with this complaint when you file your divorce case. Question 10 lists out the forms you must attach to your complaint if you are asking the court to decide marital property and debt, custody, and child support. If you have no attachments, you can check the first box. If you have attachments, you can check the box next to each attachment that you have. We will now move to question 11, which is about other court cases that relate to the divorce case. Some examples of related cases are custody, child support, abuse and neglect, adoption, or a civil protection order case. If you know about any of these types of cases in DC or in any state or territory that deal with the same claim or subject matter as the case you are filing, you can check the first box next to I do and complete the information in the table. If you do not have any other cases related to this divorce case, you can check the second box next to I do not. Finally, you need to tell the court what you are asking for. This is called your request for relief. In the section of the form, you can ask the court to grant you a divorce and check all the issues that you want the court to decide for you. If you want the court to divide marital property or debt for you and your spouse, you can check the first box, which says, divide marital property and slash or assign marital debts in a manner that is equitable, just, and reasonable. If you want alimony, you can check the second box. You can ask for both permanent alimony and temporary alimony from your spouse, or just one of these options. Permanent alimony is for the rest of your life until you remarry. Temporary alimony is for a limited period of time. If you want the court to decide child custody, you can check the third box, which says, award custody in the best interests of the children. Next, you can check the fourth box to have the court schedule a hearing about child support within 45 days. If you requested child support, you can check this box. If you want the court to award child support, you can check the fifth box. Then, check the box next to the type of child support you want. Current child support starts the day you file for divorce and continues into the future. Retroactive child support is for a time period before you filed for divorce, which can be up to 24 months before your request. Medical support is for the child's health insurance. You can select more than one box. Select all the boxes that apply to your situation. You can check the sixth box if you and your spouse have a written agreement about alimony, marital property, marital debt, child custody, or child support. If you want the court to include your written agreement as part of the court order, you can check the first option. If you don't want the court to include your written agreement as part of the court order, you can check the second option. Lastly, if you want to change back to the name you had before the marriage, you can check the 7th box, Restore me to my former name. If you check this option, please make sure you completed question 4 on page 2. You're almost done. Now, you must complete the affirmation and signature section. If everything you filled out is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief, then e-sign your name on the first line by writing /name/ or sign when you print the form, and print your name below. You do not need to get your signature notarized. On the third line, write an address where the court can send you mail. If you list another address because you fear harassment or harm if your address is known, check the box that says Substitute Address. Otherwise, fill out your home address on the third line. Then, fill out your telephone number on the fourth line and finally your email address on the fifth line. Make sure you include the date you completed the form. You have now completed the complaint for divorce. Congratulations! Make sure you have filled out all the attachments you need, videos 5, 6, and 7. There is one more form you might need. The filing fee for the complaint for divorce is $80. If you can't afford this, you can ask the court to waive the fees. We will walk you through how to fill the application for a fee waiver in video 7. That's it for video 3 of this series. Thanks for watching. If you want more information about other steps in the divorce process, check out the rest of the videos on our YouTube channel.